This model was made by a friend, David Heim. I will be using his model to create the multi-page shop drawings for my students. David created the model from sketches by Lester Margon in his book, American Furniture Treasures. I actually made this William and Mary Highboy in mahogany years ago, and it sits between our dining and living rooms stashed with many daily used items. In starting to make the drawing package, I became concerned about the design of the front corner joint shown by Margon. The horizontal grain in the front skirt plus the intrusion of large dovetails make a joint that is sure to fail. So in this video I will show my modification to this joint. Here it is stripped apart with all the other components, and only the two pieces that I'm concerned about here, the front skirt and the side, and this dovetail joint that weakens this horizontal grain in the front skirt so much that it would be extremely vulnerable. I'm going to replace that portion, that dovetail portion of the front skirt, with a post. So I'm drawing a little rectangle over the top of the existing piece, and I'm going to create a new component called front post, and then extrude it down with a push-pull tool down to the full height of the front skirt. And now I have a new component that is superimposed over that extended portion of the end of the front skirt. I want to remove that dovetail joint and actually replace it with Mortise Tenon joints. I'm going to bring a copy out in front to work with, and at this point I want to eliminate that dovetail portion of the front skirt. But this is picking up more. I need to put in some vertical lines that separate out this vertical portion from the horizontal portion. So I'll draw some lines here to try to get a separation of the removal parts and the parts that I want to retain. There's still some here that I can drop out with the eraser tool. I need to zoom in here and see. There are a couple more lines, and let's go ahead and reverse faces. And at this point I will create a tenon on the end of this horizontal grain piece. This is a 1-inch thick component, and I'm going to make a guideline 5/16 from the edge so that I can get a 3/8 inch tenon right in the middle, and I need to come up at least a 1/2 inch. I may want to go more than that later, but for now I think I'll go a 1/2 inch of a shoulder from the bottom edge, and then draw in the shape of the tenon. 3/8 inch over, horizontal. Okay, there's our tenon shape, and then with the push-pull tool I can draw that out, and I want it to come out through the new post that we have made, and so I go over there and touch that to stop the tenon length flush with the outside face of that new post. Delete the guidelines, and then I can erase this extra copy of the component and come back to the original joint. You can see here the tenon coming through the post, but I do need a mortise to match in the post. Edit the post component, trace over the tenon shape, and use push-pull to create the mortise. Okay, that's enough for the front skirt. Now to get rid of these dovetails on the side component. Edit component, and I'm going to just draw a line down through the root of these dovetails and use push-pull to drop out. Double click, oops, that double click didn't work. Let me come back to the back edge there and use the eraser tool to drop out these extra edges. Now I want to create tenons on the end of this side piece, and again we're working with 1-inch material. I'm going to come down with a shoulder. I'm going to make, instead of 1/2 inch, I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch from the bottom and the top, and then come over 5/16 because we're going to have a 3/8 inch wide tenon in the middle. But I want double tenons here on this wide piece. 2 tenons with some airspace between. I'm going to make the airspace in between the 2 tenons 3/4 of an inch. So I've got the guidelines that I need to draw in the face of the tenons, 3/8 inch wide, 2 of them. And with the push-pull tool, I can pull these out. I'm going to pull them out 5/8 of an inch for starters. I may go with a longer tenon, but let's see. I like to get rid of all the guidelines. I can't stand the clutter of these things, and usually I put the guidelines outside of the component so that I don't see a bunch of them. Oh, there's a missing. I must have dropped out the back face of the front skirt. Pick the line tool, just trace over an edge and get that face back. Okay, I can move the side into the connect to the post, but I can see that there's not enough of a post thickness to prevent interference of the tenon joint. So I'm going to pull the post out 1/2 an inch more in depth. That should work okay, and bring the side back into the connection at the corner. And I need mortises to match in the post, and we'll do the same thing, but I have to go to X-ray to see the tenon as face, and I'm just tracing over that face on the post component, the 2 faces, and I can use the push-pull tool to create the mortises at the same depth as the length of the tenons. And that's the new joint, which I think is going to be much better and much more safe and last longer than what was there before. And I can see here in X-ray that the 2 joints are not conflicting. There is some space between these tenons and mortises. and we can take a look at, bring a copy of the post out in front. We can see that we got a through mortise in the bottom, and we've got two mortises in the back face.